Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the BSB podcast. I'm here again today with Zach. I brought him back for another episode because everybody seemed to think that the episode was just a little better having him on it, so I brought him back for another one.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that. Hey, everybody. Like he said, my name is Zach, and I appreciate this time.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So today, the first thing we're going to cover is the key free agents and Andre Iguodala because he's basically a free agent. He's going to have to get traded or something, but, he's not staying in Memphis. So, as a matter of fact, it was actually released that he's not at training camp with them. Like, they told him he didn't have to be here.
He wanted to get bought out anyway, so that's not too much of a surprise.
All right, so we're going to go to this list. The number one free agent, we're going to go through and kind of just say where we think some of these guys could end up, what teams we think that should sign them. So we're going to start off. The first one's going to be Carmelo Anthony. You got anybody in mind for this one?
The Trailblazers has actually been a team that's actually had some much interest in Carmelo Anthony. There's a lot of teams that, per se could use Carmelo Anthony. I think it's the fact that his stature in the league and who he is and, him being a superstar at some point now to the point where he's maybe a 12th, 11th, 10th man. There's a lot of teams that could use him, but it's a matter of do the teams want to deal with having someone like Carmelo Anthony as a bench player, as like a 12th man,
I feel like he could definitely fit on the Trailblazers, but I saw a report that apparently he went to a non-official scrimmage with the Knicks.
Really?
I don't know why the Knicks would want him. I mean, I guess they could sign him to like a one-year deal just to kind of give him some leeway.
I think the Knicks, that would be a good sign. I don't think the Knicks signing him and bringing him back, for him to kind of finish his career because he did give the Knicks, a lot. And he was actually still, in a good piece. He was in a decline, but he was still in a good piece of his prime when he went to the Knicks. So I think the Knicks signing him wouldn't be too bad. I mean, the Knicks aren't a very good organization right now anyway. So having someone like Carmelo Anthony, of course, could put people in seats.
It could. It definitely could.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, it's New York. They're gonna sell out anyway, probably.
That's true.
New York basketball. Those fans are loyal.
Yeah. I actually thought, in my opinion, Carmelo was actually going to end up going to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And end up playing with someone, that he's, real close with, considerably called, the Banana Boys, him, LeBron, Chris Paul, those guys, they're all pretty close. So, I thought he was going to go to one of those teams, maybe like the Lakers or the Trailblazers, something of that nature. There's a lot of teams that he could go to. I think it's not his skill set that's affecting, the problem with his skill set now is the fact that he hasn't really adapted.
Yeah, it's not where the league's at. The league isn't really with that ISO, mid-range, couple pump fakes.
Because he's not, and what a lot of people say, he's actually not a good perimeter shooter anymore. He's not a really good perimeter shooter anymore. So I think, he's someone who's good, you can have on your team and kind of, put him in the, the second team, coming off the bench. I think he could fit on a lot of teams. I think it's just Carmelo being who it is.
I agree.
It's hard to sign him.
His off-season videos look pretty good, though.
Yeah.
He was playing with some actual players.
Everybody's off-season videos look good.
Of course they do. We got Ben Simmons out here shooting threes, Ain't no telling how many times he had to record that.
But I think he's actually in there working, though, because
yeah, he definitely is.
Tobias Harris has vouched for him a couple times. But your teammate always vouches for you. So, I mean, hey.
Yeah. All right, so next, Jamal Crawford. I really think Jamal... I think it's just time for him to kind of give it up. Like, I'd say this is probably going to be his last season.
Well,
he's like 39 now, I think.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Yeah. He's got some mileage. He's got some real mileages on it. But
I think any team who needs some scoring off the bench should look at him. Like, I really think this might sound crazy. I don't even know. We don't even really need him. I think the Clippers should sign him, just as kind of like his farewell tour. Because he was there through all those Lob City days.
Yeah.
So I don't think they will, but I wouldn't hate to see it.
He could go to a handful of teams. The thing about Jamal Crawford is Jamal Crawford would be someone who you can bring in the locker room and definitely teach either like a young guard or like a young wing, someone he can kind of mentor. I think he'd be someone that'd be good for the locker room. There's a handful of teams that he could go to. I feel like he'd be good at somewhere, maybe like the Spurs.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere like Memphis wouldn't be bad. John Morant's there. Having just, him kind of being somewhere where he could kind of be a mentor to like a younger guard or a younger wing. And definitely he's someone you want in your locker room. And Jamal Crawford still definitely has some game. So you could definitely put him in a 12-man roster. Easy.
Yeah, I'd say he fits on a lot of teams.
Yeah, definitely.
So next we're gonna go to Iman Shumpert.
No.
You don't think anybody should sign Iman Shumpert?
I think Iman Shumpert has I think he's kind of done. Like Iman Shumpert's pretty deep, but like over the last few seasons, Iman Shumpert has just been declining. Like Iman Shumpert doesn't really give you much. Like he's a pretty good perimeter defender, but like all of his numbers haven't really been good. Like they really went down since he left. So he was at Cleveland. Yeah, since he left the Knicks, him and J.R. Smith. Since they left the Knicks, they've kind of been in a little bit of a decline. So
and I feel like that was just like it was gonna happen with them playing with LeBron. They weren't gonna get as many touches as they were obviously in New York, but then like they just haven't performed even after LeBron's gone.
I just feel like with him even being on this list, I feel like out of the multiple guards that's still a notable NBA free agent, I feel like just a lot of people would pick them over Iman Shumpert. Like Jamal Crawford, I'd pick Jamal Crawford over Iman Shumpert.
It depends on what I was needing. If I was needing another perimeter defender, I would take Iman. Because, I mean, he can spot up. He can get you a three. Maybe not consistently anymore, but he's still okay.
I don't think I think his time's kind of up. But I could be wrong. I would hope for him to get signed, but I think his time's up.
Yeah, it could be. This could be his last season. Could have been his last season.
That's
for
true.
Real.
Yeah, definitely.
So next we're gonna go to Kenneth Faried, and I'm just gonna throw this out here. The Rockets just need to re-sign Kenneth Faried. I'm kind of upset that they didn't re-sign Kenneth
What's
Faried.
funny is though they actually just signed Ryan Anderson.
I know.
They just signed Ryan Anderson because he's also on a notable NBA free agent, and I feel like that Ryan Anderson was a better sign than Kenneth Faried.
You think so?
Yeah.
I liked Kenneth Faried, the signing of Kenneth Faried last year. I didn't think I did. I didn't think he fit on the team. And then I went to that game where they played the Rockets, and I'd say it was a good signing. Like he's a high energy guy. He really gets those younger guys going, and he helps that second unit a lot.
Well, I feel like Ryan Anderson was a better sign because of the fact that, as you know, their team has added Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook and James Harden will draw a lot of attention.
It kind of gives them another guy to kick it out to.
Exactly. You need to spread. With this team, it's good to get people who can spread the floor. Ryan Anderson's always been there. He's been a great career three-point shooter for a long time. And I just feel like Ryan Anderson's a great piece that they can just kind of put in, and he'll sit in the corner, sit at the top of the key. Russell Westbrook or James Harden kick out, boom, Ryan Anderson will get a couple threes for you when you need them.
But I mean, Kenneth Faried, I don't know how many Rockets games you watched, but Kenneth Faried would actually take and make threes last year after he joined the Rockets. I don't know what happened. He went from like in Denver, like the manimal, to like he's on the 3-point line making them for some reason.
But that's never been Kenneth Faried's game though. Kenneth Faried is not a consistent shooter, so I'd rather have I like the Ryan Anderson pickup. I really do. Kenneth Faried though, he could play for a lot of teams. He really could play for a lot of teams. I think he actually would have been pretty good. The Lakers would have been pretty good plays for him. The Mavericks wouldn't have been too bad. Places kind of like that. The Kings just lost Willie Cauley-Stein, so that actually wouldn't have been bad for the Kings.
Yeah. And I feel like he would have helped some of those younger guys too.
Yeah. He's still pretty prevalent down in the post, so he'd definitely be another body, get a rebound, play his role.
Yeah.
So he's a body in the paint.
All right, so let's go on to Jose Calderon. I think his time's up, man. I don't see anybody who really needs Jose Calderon.
He's just simped because you can see on this list it's Jose Calderon and Devin Harris. Both of those guys I feel like are in the same category. They're experienced guys. They've been in the league a long time. I think it just depends on what you want in your locker room because they're both pretty good locker room guys, and they're both vets in the league. So, it just kind of depends on what you want. But, depends on what your locker room is. If you got a bunch of young guys, those two wouldn't be bad.
And these are guys. A lot of these are guys that the season could get started and somebody could get injured, and then all of a sudden one of these guys are going to get signed just because, whenever you have an injury, you need to pick somebody up more than likely.
So, if you were to pick one of those two, then Jose Calderon or Devin Harris, who would you pick? 'Cause I'm taking Calderon.
I think I'm taking Calderon.
Yeah, I'm taking Calderon because Devin Harris was a pretty good guard. He was a good guard, but out of the two now, just because Jose Calderon is a better shooter, I'll take Jose Calderon.
All right, so next up we're gonna go to Justin Anderson. You don't know? I don't know either.
I don't know much about Justin.
I was kind of hoping you knew something about him because I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know who he played for or any of that. So we'll go back to him, and we'll go on. So Luke Mbamute, he played for the Clippers for a while. He was pretty good. I mean, he's kind of like that. He kind of gets back on defense, plays good defense.
Energy guy, high energy guy. Pretty good motor. Will play his role very well. Good, pretty decent perimeter defender. Long arms. He's a pretty decent player. If you need someone that you can put into a defensive lineup, you need some extra defense coming off the bench. He's someone that you could definitely put on. Say you got someone that you need to get off the board or something of that nature. Someone you need to kind of stop and slow down a little bit. Luke Mbamute will be a pretty good pickup.
Yeah. So I looked up Justin Anderson, and it seems like he's just kind of, a shooter. There's a highlight of him scoring 24 points. There was one in here that was 25 points with 5 threes. So he seems like, kind of a shooter. Any team that really needs shooting, and that's most teams in the NBA, so he could possibly get signed if he's a good shooter. He played for the Philadelphia 76ers and the Hawks, I believe. So the Hawks obviously didn't want him anymore, so neither one of those teams are going to pick him up. But
I don't think he's... hopefully he'll get picked up since he's a shooter, but I don't see many people just looking for Justin Anderson.
Yeah, nobody, that's not a name that really pops out to me. Jonathan Simmons.
He's a decent piece. Jonathan Simmons is a decent piece. Pretty good role. And again, most of these guys are really just role fillers. If we're really looking at them, they're really just role fillers. No one here is really just someone that you really just need specific. Like Jonathan Simmons, people like Jonathan Simmons, Quincy Pondexter. Now Marquise Chris, which is a different piece. I actually like Marquise Chris because Marquise Chris is a younger guy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's someone you could actually utilize a little better because of the fact that he's about 6'7", pretty bigger guy.
Yeah, he is.
I think decent. He's a pretty decent guard. He plays some good time with the Suns. He's a pretty good. I think he's a pretty good guy. Out of this list and out of the couple players you picked, Marquise Chris is a good piece that you can kind of mold into something that you need.
Definitely. So then there's Ryan Anderson, who
he just got signed.
To the Rockets.
Rockets, that was a great pickup.
There's Corey Brewer, who I don't see Corey Brewer really fitting anywhere anymore. Corey Brewer, I think, is kind of done.
Yeah, he played out his time because he played for. I remember he was actually playing for us, the Lakers, for a little bit.
Yeah, he was.
And
played for the Rockets for a while when Dwight was there.
He's played his piece. He's kind of. I think he's starting to get towards the end.
He's always just been kind of one of those role fillers.
Yeah,
he's always been a good one.
Definitely.
So,
and then the last one that we got on here is Joakim Noah.
I actually saved him for last just because this is the person that I have the most to say about. So, I personally think Joakim Noah should go to the Clippers. I think the Clippers should sign Joakim Noah. And I think they actually had a workout with him.
Really?
Because we need a rim protector. And I don't know, you probably went to some Grizzlies games last season, did you?
A couple.
So, whenever I went to the Grizzlies games last season, Joakim Noah was kind of like a leader for that team, and I was really surprised. He was just kind of that guy that kind of held them all together, and towards the end of the games, he was in the game. Even though apparently he can't shoot free throws, but he actually hit a game-winning free throw against the Rockets whenever I went. And I was really upset about it.
Now, Joakim Noah actually has been definitely big on defense. He's been a very good rim protector. That's pretty much what he's known for. A pretty strong guy. Stop you in the paint, get a rebound. Not so much as you would say a dirty player, but a hard-working player. Someone that's going to play his role very good.
He's hard-working for sure.
But Joakim Noah, I feel like now, he's kind of one of those big men that, are kind of stuck in the wrong era because of the fact that he can't really shoot, not much of a free throw shooter. I was actually happy that we picked up Dwight Howard over Joakim Noah. I didn't really want Joakim Noah, in my opinion, because of the fact that I feel like Joakim Noah isn't really a piece. If you can pick among some different big men, I feel like, out of Dwight Howard and Joakim Noah, when the Lakers were working him out, I'd rather have Dwight Howard. I feel like Dwight Howard definitely has more years left than Joakim Noah does. Just because of the fact that Joakim Noah, I feel like, is more one-dimensional, and he's not very athletic either.
Yeah.
So,
also, I have a fun fact for you about Dwight Howard. He is the player in the NBA with the most double-doubles.
wow.
You know how many he has?
No.
793, I believe.
Yeah.
He is a double-double machine, man.
I guess what happened to kind of Dwight Howard, which he got signed by the Lakers this offseason. The good thing about Dwight Howard was that I think we watched him, right, in Orlando. Everyone was talking about him being like the next big man, next best big man of this generation, and him just kind of, he took that back injury, and he had that, I think it was like a buttocks injury.
Yeah, whenever he went to L.A.
Yeah, somewhere in his lower extremities, and once he got injured, it kind of took away from what he could really do, because the fact of the matter is, Dwight Howard relied so much on his athleticism that once his athleticism kind of went away, he wasn't as dominant as he was in Orlando. But the thing about it was, though, Dwight Howard was a pretty decent center. He put up pretty decent numbers. I think on the last show,
he was an all-star.
the last show I actually gave a couple stats about him. Him averaging like 16 and 12 when he played for the Hornets. So
he was good. I think a lot of people overlooked him. So actually, we forgot about one guy because he's not actually a free agent. But Andre Iguodala, he plays for our hometown team, the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So
we were supposed to get him. The Lakers were actually supposed to. That's what the talks were. The Lakers were actually supposed to get him.
I think Iggy could fit pretty much anywhere.
A lot of people could use Iggy.
A lot of these teams that are like we're contenders this year are going to look to pick up Andre Iguodala.
Definitely.
Because he can come off your bench, he can score, he's a good leader, he can run with that starting lineup if he needs to. I think L.A., Houston, the other L.A., any of these teams could use him. Milwaukee is somebody.
Would be a good piece.
I doubt he would want to go there, though.
Yeah.
He'd probably not want
to
to go there.
The 76ers would be a good piece in the 76ers just because of the fact that it's good to have that veteran leadership.
Yes. Any of these contending teams. Yeah. Any of the contending teams, I could see him playing for.
Definitely.
So this is going to be kind of a list episode. We're kind of going through a bunch of different lists because this is the time of the season where the season's coming up. So a lot of these, Bleacher Reports and ESPNs, they're all making these lists. So next up, the next segment, we are going to go to the Bleacher Report win predictions. So a lot of these teams, I think, are kind of fairly ranked, but some of them I'd have to say I kind of disagree with. So the number one seed in the NBA, according to Bleacher Report, is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers at 55-27. I don't know that I have this team as the number one in the NBA. They could possibly be number one in the East, but I think some of these other teams are going to be better than them as far as record-wise goes.
I see where their prediction went just because of the fact that the West is so loaded.
Yeah, and they're in the East.
Yeah, and the West is the wins are definitely the wins and the losses are going to spread out a little bit more than it did the last few years. But the 76ers, I think, are going to be the number one seed in the East. They're definitely going to be the number one seed in the East. I just feel like, and the Bucks are good, but the Bucks, they did sign Wesley Matthews.
Yeah.
But they lost Malcolm Brogdon. They lost Mirotic. They lost Nikola Mirotic as well.
How do you lose a player to an overseas team?
Well, that's his home, because you got to think that's his home.
Yeah, it is.
That's his home, and the thing, it was basically the same thing with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
They both
wanted to go to
LA.
And he actually got a pretty hefty contract over there too as well. So Nikola Mirotic, he actually, he just wanted to go back and play for the home team. But I feel like they're still going to be deep. The Bucks are still going to be pretty good, but I definitely have the 76ers being the number one seed in the East.
I think I can kind of agree with that. So the next team we're going to go to is actually a tie for second between three teams, and that is the Nuggets, the Bucks, and the Lakers, all at 53 and 29.
Now, I see the Nuggets and the Lakers, and the Bucks is definitely number 2. The Nuggets is still a deep team, and I think we don't realize that out of all these teams, the Nuggets is the one team
That's been together.
that's been together. They haven't started any. They haven't moved a whole bunch of pieces. They've kept the same core. You know, they got to the Western Conference semifinals.
And they have Nikola Jokic, who could possibly be in the MVP.
Nikola
running this
Jokic
year.
will definitely be in the MVP running, just as he was last season. Jamal Murray and Gary Harris, I think, are going to take another step up. You know, they still got Will Barton on that team. The Nuggets are a really good team, so I'm not surprised that they have them at 53 wins, tied with the Lakers. Me being a Lakers fan, and I love the fact that, you know, Bleacher Report has us this high.
Yeah.
I feel like the Clippers are actually going to win more games than us this season.
You think so?
Just because of the fact that I feel like we're going to have more load management.
I think
we're going to have load management because LeBron, we understand this is LeBron, and I know that I've been saying that LeBron, this is going to be a great year for him. He's going to take off. But again, he has a lot of miles under him. So there is going to be some load management with LeBron.
I don't know if we're going to see any. I think LeBron, because I feel like he has something to prove this season.
Yeah.
So I feel like this could be the year that LeBron's just like, all right, they talked bad on my name last year. It's time to come back and prove them wrong.
Yeah, but I feel like over the last few seasons, load management has been a thing for LeBron James. And look, I know that with the fact that, you know, our team, the way our team is, because I feel like the Lakers is a pretty loaded team. I feel like we got enough pieces. We got some really good pieces to win a lot of games this season. But I feel like with the inclusion of load management and how deep the West is, I could see us maybe a 3rd seed.
Yeah.
Or a second seed, because the Nuggets are a really good team, and the Nuggets actually have, you know, winning 53 wins. I don't know if they'll actually be the number 1 seed in the West.
I don't know if they will.
I'm not sure about that. one.
So next we'll go to the 3rd, and that is the Clippers and the Rockets at 52 and 30. So that's just one less win. Then the Nuggets and the Lakers and the Bucks. I personally think that the Rockets, they could possibly be the number 1 seed.
No.
Neither one of those
No.
guys take much time off.
No.
That's what it's going to come down to.
I don't think so.
It's going to come down to how much time each player takes off. And Russell Westbrook and James Harden are both players who are known to not take time off.
I don't think the Rockets are going to win. I don't think they would be a number 1 seed either. Just because of the fact that even though Russell Westbrook and James Harden are both on the same team, and they're definitely going to have, they're both going to have a tremendous season together. Again, they have to kind of they're still going to have to figure out how to work together on the floor. And that's going to take some time. I don't think it's the fact that, you know, those two players being on the team, yes. Those two together will win you games. I don't know if that'll get you the 1st seed, though, in the Western Conference. In the Western Conference, I just don't think that's going to happen.
I just think the only way... I think the reason I'm saying this is because of the load management of the Clippers and the Lakers. Both of those teams are going to take time off. You know, Kawhi's going to take probably 10 to 15 games. Paul George is probably going to take 5 to 10 unless he has another MVP caliber season like last year. And the Rockets are not going to take time off. James Harden's probably not going to take time off, even though I think he should. And Westbrook's probably not going to either. And I think the reason that I said James Harden should take time off is because so many people say, oh, James Harden's not good in the playoffs. Actually, he was good in the playoffs last year. I think it was me and you were sitting down, and I was showing you some of his numbers, and you were like, wow, he actually was good in the playoffs. A lot of people kind of sleep on him.
He was good in the playoffs. The problem is he's
Win.
not very clutch when he gets in the playoffs. You got to win. James Harden has to win when he gets in the playoffs. That's the one thing that's holding the Rockets back and holding James Harden back. When he gets there, he has to win.
Yeah. So then we have the Jazz and the Warriors at 51 and 31.
I agree with that.
I think I can agree with both of those.
I agree with that. The Jazz adding Michael Conley. They added They actually had a plethora of pieces. They added a plethora of pieces, man. They're going to be a really good team. Mike Conley is definitely going to help out Donovan Mitchell as well.
Yeah, for sure. So then we have the Celtics at 50-32.
So that would make them the third seed in the East.
I think.
Yes, that's pretty accurate.
I think I can go with that.
That's pretty accurate.
I can go with that.
That is pretty accurate.
Because they're going to have Kemba.
It's going to go 76ers, Bucks, Celtics. It's going to go that way. It's going to go that way.
I don't see anybody else in the East that is really going to take that spot.
The Pacers
could.
The Pacers is actually someone that the Pacers is actually someone who improved. Yep. So I don't see them taking much of a decline. They might play, and I think they'll actually give a lot of people a run for their money.
I think so too. So then we have the Trailblazers at 45-37, and I think I can kind of agree with that. This West has gotten stronger. The Trailblazers are definitely going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to be a top seed.
That would make them the 6th seed. Now, I feel like the Trailblazers definitely are going to take a couple losses just because of the fact that now with the Rockets and their extreme backcourt, you still got the Warriors with the addition of D'Angelo Russell. There's just a lot of backcourts that they're going to have to go against. And they did add Hassan Whiteside. But I feel like that team is still missing like a piece to really make like a run. So
I'm thinking they added somebody else too. Who else did they add?
They traded for Hassan Whiteside and they got Kent Bazemore.
Yeah.
They traded I think they traded Evan Turner for Kent Bazemore. That's what it was.
Yeah. So next up we have the Pacers and the Mavericks at 44-38. I can definitely see that for both teams. The Pacers are probably going to be about the 4th seed.
The Mavericks are a sleeper team.
They could slip into the playoffs.
They are a sleeper team. I think the Mavericks are going to be a really good team.
I agree. So next up we have the Spurs at 43-39. They also have the Heat and the Nets at that same record. I think. Does that put the Nets in the playoffs? That's the 5th seed, right? No, 5th and 6th. That'd be the Heat and the Nets, I believe. Yeah. So the Spurs, they're going to be kind of right there in that playoff race just because it's Pop. They still have decent pieces as well. DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge. Both of those could possibly slip into the playoffs. They're right there. But the Heat and the Nets I want to focus more on them. I think the Heat, they could make the playoffs with Jimmy Butler.
They're definitely not a 5th seed.
I don't think they're a 5th seed.
They're not better than the
they're
Nets.
a 5th seed.
They're not better than the Nets.
They're not better than the Nets, and I don't know
if they're better than Toronto.
That's what I was about to say. I don't know if they're better than Toronto.
They have a good team. Don't because they traded Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah.
They got Myers Leonard. Then they just acquired Jimmy Butler. Deion Waiters is back. They just drafted Tyler Hero. They got a good set of pieces.
Jimmy Butler is going to have them make the playoffs, I think. So I mean,
they'll make the playoffs. I don't know if they're a 5th seed. They'll probably be a 6th,
7th or 8th.
Yeah, I think the Nets are better than them, in my opinion.
I agree.
The Nets are better than them.
Well, it's going to depend on really how Kyrie comes out, but
Kyrie's going to come out balling.
I think he's going to have a good season.
Kyrie is going to have almost an MVP caliber season. I feel like because I feel like
he's happy to be in Brooklyn.
Yes, he is again by himself, and he can kind of just go ahead because that Nets team is actually is a pretty decent team. They just signed DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen's on that team still. They got Spencer Dinwiddie, and they basically just exchanged point guards. That's all they really did. That's all they really did is exchange point guards. And Kyrie Irving is definitely an improvement from D'Angelo Russell. So
yeah, probably.
Definitely.
So then Toronto and Orlando at 42-40. I think that rounds out the East.
Yep.
So I can agree. I think the Heat is probably going to be more like where Toronto is, somewhere around there. The Heat are probably going to be 6th, 7th, 8th seed. We'll see.
Now, the thing about the Heat in Toronto, which will be fun to see, is the fact that Toronto did lose Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So they don't have someone who's much of a closer, but they do have all-star caliber players such as Kyle Lowry.
And Pascal.
Pascal will definitely improve this season. He will actually be.
I think Pascal's going to be an all-star this year.
He's going to be an all-star. So
I think this team is just deeper than that Miami team. You got Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Kyle Lowry, and you got Pascal. That's still a pretty solid starting lineup. Those four together, I mean, they were good in the playoffs. Whenever Kawhi came out, In the finals, Serge Ibaka was that man.
And they did win a lot of games while Kawhi Leonard was out last
They
season.
did.
They still won a lot of games.
They were still well over 500 in the games that he missed. So the Nets next. We're not going to spend too much time on these teams because none of them made the playoffs. But we have, do you see anybody in here you think is going to make the playoffs?
I actually think the Hawks are a sleeper to make the playoffs in the East.
I think the Hawks are.
I think the Hawks are a sleeper to make the playoffs in the
Hawks
East.
could slip in there.
The Bulls will not make the playoffs.
No,
the Wizards will not.
They have the Bulls above the Hawks. They have the Bulls at 36 and 46, and they have the Hawks at 33 and 49.
I do not agree with that.
I don't agree with that. I think the Hawks are going to be better than that.
And I actually think, in my opinion, the Pistons are.
I think the Pistons are going to be better than 38 and 44. I think they'll have about 40 wins.
I think they'll slip out the playoffs though. I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
I don't know because they added Derrick Rose.
Yeah. Hopefully,
along with that team they had last year, I think Blake Griffin's probably going to get them to the playoffs.
Blake Griffin's health is a factor now. I don't know if Blake Griffin really just gets them there.
If Blake stays healthy.
If Blake stays healthy, maybe.
Yeah.
I think Blake stays healthy, maybe.
I think Orlando could slip out. Possibly. One of those teams might slip in and Orlando might slip out.
I think Orlando is better than Detroit though. I think that might be. I think they might stay as an 8th seed. That's a pretty good.
We'll see.
That's a pretty good. I don't think the Pistons. I'm not too high on the Pistons.
Oh, I'm not necessarily super high on them, but I think that they're a decent team at least.
They're okay. Nah, they're pretty decent. I
mean, that's really all you have to be to make the playoffs in the East. It could literally be like one injury. One injury could happen, and the entire bottom of the East will change.
Below 500 playoff teams are prevalent in the East these past.
It is. They are. They have the Pelicans at 39 and 43.
I think the Pelicans.
I think that's about right.
Yes, the Pelicans are a couple years away.
Yeah,
they need a couple years to develop. I think they have a good core though. You know, we traded away our entire. Yep. They have our entire Lakers core, but it's a good group. Lonzo, Brandon Ingram,
Josh Hart.
They got a lot of people.
They added Zion.
Derek Favors is on that team as well.
They added J.J. Redick.
Drew Holiday's on that team.
Holiday.
I'm not gonna lie, they might make a playoff push.
Yeah,
they might make a playoff push, bro. They have a lot of pieces. They have a lot of pieces there, so we'll see.
If Zion comes out, and we'll get into this later, but if Zion comes out as the 42nd best player in the league, then they could possibly make the playoffs.
I'm not sure about that, but we'll see.
So, the last thing I really want to talk about on this list is the Hornets, the Knicks, and the Cavs. I think the Hornets are the worst team in the league, but they have them 3 games above the Cavs. They have the Cavs as the worst team. I think the Hornets are going to be the worst team. Just throwing that out there.
All those teams are pretty relevant. I wouldn't be surprised if any one of those teams basically were the worst team in the league because all those teams are pretty relevant. They gave Terry Rozier, which I'm happy for Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
But they gave him a pretty big contract. The Knicks did a cut. They did a little bit, but there's only so much that you can do coming from an offseason like this.
I think they could have a decent season. I think with the addition of Julius Randle, they could be decent.
Yeah, but they signed like 4 or 5 power forwards.
Yeah, but we all know Julius Randle is going to get the bulk of those minutes.
I just don't know if they did enough with their offseason for them to really do much. I think they'll be okay.
I mean, if they sign Carmelo Anthony, they're going to be the first seed in the East.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But nah, man, those 3 teams, man, I feel like they're pretty irrelevant because none of those teams are really going to do much. I'm going to be excited to see Darius Garland play, though, see what he's going to do this year. So,
but I just feel like, honestly, I hate to say this, I think this could be another one of those seasons where the Hornets might be the worst team in NBA history.
I think so, too.
But
we didn't get to talk about our home team, though. The Grizzlies, I feel like, they got the Grizzlies at 28-54. I think they'll actually be more. And the Suns are at 29-53, and the Wizards at 30-52. I think they'll win more games than the Suns and the Wizards. I think the Grizzlies, we acquired John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be there. We actually have we have a good young core. We have some good pieces.
Valanciunas.
We just acquired Valanciunas.
Brandon Clark.
We have some pretty decent pieces, and I feel like we'll be able to win a couple more games than that. I don't think the Wizards
33, 34, maybe somewhere around there.
I don't think the Wizards. I really don't think the Wizards are better than the Grizzlies, but the Suns is an argument.
Yeah, it is because with D-Book, and they just added a couple pieces like Saric and
Ricky Rubio.
Yes. those could possibly move them up a little bit. So I guess we'll have to see. In case anybody was wondering, the Suns are at 29 and 53, and the Wizards are at 30 and 52. I think those are similar to what they're gonna have. That's a big jump for the Suns. I think they won like 19 last year or something.
It's gonna be some interesting games. It's gonna be some interesting records this season. But
for sure,
we'll see how it goes.
All right, so we're gonna jump into our first break, and then we'll come back and we'll continue on. All right, so for this next segment, we're gonna go through the ESPN's top 50 players list that they just released. We're not gonna go through the whole thing, probably. We're just gonna go through who we think is underrated, overrated, stuff like that. So, one thing I'm going to go ahead and say, Klay Thompson at 49 is disrespect. I understand he's injured, but I think even if he only plays after the All-Star break, he's going to mean more to that team than like a Bojan Bogdanovic or a John Collins or even DeMar DeRozan.
Whoa.
And definitely Zion Williamson. Zion should not be 42 on this list.
Klay Thompson is, because the way the list is set up, the list was actually based on how they'll do this season. Not before, but how they'll do this season. Klay Thompson is coming off a very tough injury to come back from. It's a very big injury. So I understand the 49, but I feel like again he is too low.
I agree.
He is too low. That's true. But I understand.
I think the reason they have him so low is just because of the injury. He's not going to be playing many games. Okay. But I still have to say he's better than...
We got to realize, though, we're probably not sure that Klay's really going to come back this season. If he comes back, it's going to be like April. It's going to be really late in the season. So Klay's really not even going to be able to play a whole lot because they're going to want Klay to come back healthy.
That's true.
Because they need that. Steph, Draymond, and Klay is what keeps them in the playoff run. That keeps them in that playoff run. That keeps this dynasty together. So they need Klay healthy. I'm not sure that he's gonna play that much this season. We gotta realize that he tore his
ACL.
He tore his ACL. So we have to realize that that's a tough injury to come back from. And even though he doesn't do a whole lot of dribbling and going to the rim and dunking, he's a shooter. He still has to come off those screens.
He's the best catch and shoot player probably in league history.
So we're going to see. He might not be as sharp coming off those screens as he used to be. He's a really good defender. He's like a great 3-and-D guy, one of the best 3-and-D guys ever.
Yeah.
We don't know how he's going to come back off the injury, so he needs to take his time to come back. So I understand the 49.
I trust him, though. I feel like he's going to come back the same Klay.
I don't think Zion, though,
is 42.
Is 42.
I don't think he should be above DeMar. I don't think he should be above Miles Turner, maybe even Kevin Love, if Kevin Love actually plays this season. I think we could see Kevin Love kind of go back to that Kevin Love of old, back in Minnesota.
Maybe we could see that. He's definitely lost some weight. He's definitely more in shape. He's a really good shooter, so we could, Kevin Love could definitely take some steps up. But
yeah,
I'm not sure that putting Zion at 42, saying he's already going to be in the top 50.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen him play an NBA game yet. I don't know how we can do that, and we haven't seen him play an NBA game yet.
I mean, I guess we can kind of look at it as like
going through this season.
LeBron thing. Like, he was hyped up, and LeBron came in, and he was definitely a top 50 player in the NBA his rookie season. He was great.
He was a top 50 player his NBA season.
But LeBron is like, that's a whole different thing, man. LeBron is
the prediction though, 42. That's kind of high. That's pretty high. Top 50.
Yeah.
In the NBA, and you haven't played a game yet. That's high. That's really high. So,
another guy I want to bring up real quick. He's not on this list because he's injured, but Kevin Durant. They're talking about how he could possibly make a return before the season is over, and I really hope he doesn't. And not because I don't want to see the Nets. I don't want to see him play. It's because he came back early from this injury the first time. That was what do they call it? Was it a calf injury? Or?
It was a calf.
But it was not a calf injury.
It was attached to, and I don't understand how he really got a calf.
Every time you see him in the locker room, the ice pack was right here. It was not a calf injury. It was
on his Achilles, yeah.
It was an Achilles injury from the beginning. Yeah. It was probably just strained, and he knew he shouldn't have came back and played.
He needs to take his time. He needs to take his time and heal. He needs to take his time and heal.
He needs to understand that, like, this is something that he could not come back from.
No.
He needs to take his time. If he comes back and gets injured again, you saw what happened to DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah.
He just continues to get injured over and over again. This could be
If Kevin
what
Durant
happens
still
to Kevin
wants
Durant.
to be one of the top players in the league, he's got to
gotta
take his time.
I agree.
Jinx.
We actually said that at the exact same time.
Exactly.
So, next up, Nikola Vucevic at 40. Vucevic is... He took his team to the playoffs last year. That's what I'm saying.
Vucevic is really good. So
could,
I like the top.
I think
40.
he should be above Draymond.
No.
Personally.
No. Vucevic is not better than Draymond.
Maybe above Al Horford, not because I don't think Al Horford is better, but because Al Horford is going to be playing with Joel Embiid.
That's true. But Al Horford, the thing about Al Horford is though, the reason why Al Horford I would say is going to have a better season than Vucevic is better than Vucevic. Al Horford I feel like is a better defender.
Yeah.
And he actually has some type of jumper so you can stretch him out.
He does.
And I think Al Horford, just his presence is extremely big. So I feel like Al Horford is actually a better pick than Vucevic. So I see why they got Al Horford higher at 37.
Yeah. And then, let's see, we have Jason Tatum at 35. I can kind of agree with that. But I don't know. I don't know that Jason Tatum... You think he's going to have a better season than, like, DeMar DeRozan?
Yes, I think he will.
Think so?
I think Jason Tatum will take his step up this season. I think he'll take a step up because I think he'll be getting the ball more.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he gets the ball more, he's going to have a huge season. Like, it's definitely going to be a step up.
Yeah. Kristaps at 34, I think that's a good place to have him. We haven't seen him in 2 years.
The thing is, I don't know about Kristaps because of the fact that we haven't seen Kristaps play
In a while.
in 2 years.
Like 600 something days.
How are we already giving him? And he's a top 50 caliber player.
Oh, yeah.
But he hasn't played in 2 years. How do you put someone, 34, and I don't really see how they put him above Draymond, and he hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
So, and
I guess
Kristaps
we'll
is at 34, is ranked 34th, and Draymond's ranked 38th. I don't know how you put Kristaps above him, and he's been injured. Like, some of these players, like, they haven't played, and they've been injured, so how do you...
Victor Oladipo at 33. I'll have to see the rest of this list before I make a comment on that, but I feel like Victor should be higher than that.
I feel like, he should definitely be higher.
Chris Paul at 32. I think if Chris Paul plays for Oklahoma City, he's going to be better than 32.
I think he's Chris
by
Paul is still
himself.
going to be great, and he's an elite point guard still. He's a pretty elite point guard, but I feel like he's starting to decline a little. And they got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over there at OKC. So depending on what they do, Chris Paul's probably going to start, but they're going to want Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to play.
Yeah.
So
I think Drew Holiday 31. That's pretty decent. Devin Booker at 30. Devin Booker's had a good season. I think, my personal opinion, I think Devin Booker's better than Jamal Murray. But maybe not necessarily probably just because of where he is. He's playing for Phoenix. He's the best player on that team. I think if Jamal Murray was in Phoenix, maybe I would say the opposite, Tobias Harris at 28, 29. Let's see. I think Victor Oladipo is better than Tobias Harris, personally. Tobias Harris is playing in a system where he's not going to get that many touches.
Tobias Harris is a scorer though. Tobias Harris is a really good player, and we don't really give him enough credit. I like the 29 just because Tobias Harris is actually a really good player.
Yeah.
We don't give him enough credit, so I like that.
Trae Young at 28. This is his sophomore season.
Yeah, Trae Young's gonna take another step up.
I think I agree with that.
Just like Luka, Trae Young's gonna take another step up as well.
But Luka's not on this list. I don't think Luka is anywhere in this top 50 list. Let's see. He's not in that one. He's not in that one. Luka Doncic is not in the top 50 in the NBA. Oh, wait. No, they have him at 16. Wow. 16. Okay, that's too high. We'll get to that. So right now we're looking at 30 through 21. Jimmy Butler at 21. I think him being in Miami by himself, I kind of agree with that.
That's good.
Let me say this. Blake Griffin is going to have a better season than Pascal Siakam.
No.
Blake Griffin was All NBA
No.
third team last year.
No.
He averaged like 27.
No. I
Blake-
don't think so.
If Blake Griffin stays healthy, if he stays healthy,
That's why, like, Blake Griffin, again, and I'll say this again, like, Blake Griffin's health is a factor now. If Blake Griffin can stay healthy, maybe, but I don't know. We just saw Pascal Siakam really improve. I don't think he'll have a better season than Blake Griffin. Plus, Pascal Siakam is going to be, Blake Griffin is actually, I think, is the number one option to Pistons. Pascal Siakam is actually going to get way more looks this season. So I think Pascal Siakam, I think that's good. I think he will have a better season than Blake Griffin.
he'll have to really take that step up.
I think he will. I think he will.
He could. All right, so we'll move on to 20 through 11. Donovan Mitchell at 20. I can kind of agree with that. Bradley Beal at 19. Yeah, he had a good season last year.
I don't like Luka over Kemba.
I don't like Luka over Karl Anthony Towns. I don't like either one of those. Luka's not better than either one of those players yet. I don't think Luka's better than Donovan Mitchell yet.
I don't think he's better than Bradley Beal either.
I don't think Luka should be number 16.
But Luka, since the list is based on projected seasons, Luka's probably going to take another step up. But I feel like he probably should be lower just because of the fact that he had a great season with his rookie season, but now they have more film on him.
Yeah.
They've got to really look at Luka and see how he plays and see how he develops. But I don't know. I feel like they're going to take a lot more. Luka's going to catch a lot more focus from teams and a lot more focus from scouts. So I think Luka's going to have a great season. I don't know if it's a top 20 season though.
Yeah, I agree. So then we have Rudy Gobert at 14. I mean, he's been Defensive Player of the Year twice in a row.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with that. Kyrie at 11. Russ at 12. CJ at 13. What do you think about that? I think that's about where CJ should be. I don't know. I could see CJ maybe being a little lower.
I think CJ's a little high too,
Yeah.
because CJ's definitely going to be a great. He's definitely going to be very prevalent this year as well. But I don't know if he's going to have a top 13. I don't think he'll have a better season than Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons is this
15.
ranking is between 20 and 11. Ben Simmons is at 15. CJ McCollum is at 13. So I feel like Ben Simmons is actually going to have a better season than CJ McCollum.
Yeah, I kind of agree with
I
that.
would bump CJ down a little bit just because of the fact that CJ McCollum, playing with, Damian Lillard.
Yeah. So then we have Paul George at 10, and I mean, he was probably the third best player in the league last year. He was third in MVP voting. I think 10 might.
That's a good pick, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's right.
Dame at 9. Yeah. Joel at 8. I think Joel should maybe. I don't know. I think I'd keep Jokic above Joel. Just because Jokic kind of has more of the leeway on his team. He's going to get the ball more, and he's a better playmaker. Steph at 6. He's a little bit. Anthony Davis is at 5. Steph is at 6. I think Steph will have a better season than Anthony Davis.
Nah, man.
I'm not sleeping on Anthony Davis. I'm just saying Stephen Curry is by himself.
No. AD is going to have an MVP caliber season. Steph is too, but I feel like AD is going to have a better season than Steph.
Yeah. James Harden at 4. I can kind of agree with that. Except, no, I can't. LeBron's at 3. I think LeBron should be number 1, personally. But Kawhi's at 2 and Giannis is at 1. I think Giannis should be number 4. I think the list should go LeBron, Kawhi, James Harden, Giannis.
So
Giannis' game isn't complete
I
yet.
like the LeBron Kawhi. I got Giannis Harden. I like the Giannis Harden. Harden is not gonna have as good as a season that he had last year.
Yeah.
He's got Russell Westbrook now. So we have to realize that James Harden's going to get his touches, but he's also, if they're going to win now, if he wants to win, and like you projected, you said you felt like the Rockets could get a number 1 seed.
They could.
For them to get a number 1 seed, I feel like James Harden's going to have to take a step back. So James Harden, NBA rank, I think 4th is okay. I think 4th is good. Giannis, I think, would be a 3rd because Giannis is actually going to have a jumper.
And Giannis he's kind of the only guy on that team.
I think Giannis' jumper will be projected to have a pretty good jump shot. And
yeah.
I don't know how ESPN ranked Giannis' season to be better than Kawhi's because of the fact that we just watched Kawhi completely tear Giannis. He basically exposed Giannis.
He really did.
Exposed Giannis. So
All right, so that's all those rankings. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is the media day, which went on. So I don't know how much of it you watched. I watched a good bit of it. I watched all the Rockets interviews. I watched a lot of the Lakers as well. I'm not really sure. I didn't see a lot. Like, really, there was like the Rockets, the Lakers.
There was a couple interesting
Nets.
interviews. The Nets interview was very interesting.
I didn't get to watch it
because of the fact that I watched Kyrie's interview. I didn't get to watch Kevin Durant's, but I watched Kyrie's interview. Kyrie seemed like he was taking the little brother role and kind of protecting Kevin Durant. One of his quotes was, and I'm paraphrasing here, one of his quotes was, he said that we all know KD wasn't ready to play in an environment like that.
Yeah, he did.
So he kind of had some statements, kind of was not bashing the Warriors, but throwing a little shade, as in saying that he was kind of influenced to play that game when he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And basically, he was just saying that he wanted to protect Kevin Durant from getting put in a situation like that again. So kind of just being a little brother role and showing a lot of support for KD. And he said that he wanted him to be 101% healthy. So
and I mean, I agree with that. He needs to take this whole year off. That's an Achilles tear. That's the most serious injury in basketball.
He needs to take his time. So I like Kyrie's attitude. I feel like he seems
happy.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air, over in Brooklyn. So I think he's got a really good season. And a lot of people are looking at that like Kyrie Irving you're definitely very supportive of Kevin Durant.
Yeah. So I watched the Rockets, the Russell Westbrook, and the James Harden. They sound very serious. They sound like they really want to play with each other. And a lot of people, there was questions about, how are you guys going to do it? And that didn't seem to be a concern to either one of them. James Harden, actually, I'll quote this, and I'm paraphrasing as well, but he was like, I mean, if Russ is having one of those nights, I'm going to sit back and watch. He said, I'm going to sit back and enjoy the show. And he said, and vice versa. So, I mean, if Russ is going off for a 30-point triple-double, then James Harden might take a step back and sit down and watch. If James Harden's having another one of those 60-point nights, Russ could sit down and watch the show. Because both of those players are capable of carrying their team to a win. But in crunch time, they're both going to be on the floor. For sure.
True. Definitely true.
So,
now, I saw LeBron's interview. Kind of talking about the Lakers, talking about the offseason he had. And LeBron definitely, admitted that he was staying in shape, definitely in the gym.
Yeah.
Had a couple projects. He worked on Space Jam, got that movie pretty much finished, and getting ready to be premiered. I don't know the date, but it seemed like LeBron had a very busy offseason, but he was also getting very prepared. He seems like mentally he's ready to go. Physically he's ready to go.
He looks slimmer.
He is definitely
good.
He slimmed down. LeBron, this would be a great season for LeBron. And actually, what one of the reporters asked was, he had got some intel saying that they wanted to run
the offense through Anthony Davis.
So
and LeBron was down for that.
And LeBron said that he did the same. He wants to do the same thing for Kyrie. Yes.
Yeah.
So I actually feel like that's something that I'm pretty happy about. I think running the offense through Anthony Davis, which he's right, which is what I also said about the mismatches that we have because of the fact that if you let AD, you have to put a little bit more attention on AD. You have to put a little help because if AD gets going, there's just a lot of people that can't guard Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's true.
I like the fact that he wants to run everything through, run everything through Anthony Davis. So pretty happy about that.
The Kyle Kuzma interview that they did, they asked him about the injury that he suffered with Team USA, and he said it wasn't a big deal, but it wasn't like nothing either. I forget what exactly it was, but there was 2 tiers of that injury, and he was on the lower tier of that injury. So it's not that big of a deal. I think he said he'll be ready for the season. But I just thought that was interesting. The Anthony Davis interview, did you watch any of it? He kind of just said the same thing. I think it was after the LeBron James interview, so they, one quote he had, they asked about Defensive Player of the Year, and he was like, that's the goal. So he's wanting to win Defensive Player of the Year. Somebody needs to win it other than Rudy Gobert, please.
I think Anthony Davis could get it. Rudy
He's
Gobert
definitely
is just
that level.
But if we look at Rudy Gobert is just huge. So I'm not surprised that he's winning Defensive Player of the Year. So
Yeah.
I thought Giannis almost got it last season though, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like a 2K type of thing where your player wins MVP and Defensive Player of the Year.
It's ridiculous.
That's some
but it
minor
is,
league stuff.
It is possible, but it's yeah.
It's never happened. I don't know that it ever will, but that would have been.
Hey, anything's possible, Aaron.
Yeah, it is.
Just like my Lakers winning the championship.
That's not possible.
Okay.
No, I'm just
All
kidding.
right.
I'm just kidding. That's possible. It's possible.
Clippers fans, man.
I mean,
you guys.
Hey, they got it past the Nuggets first. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, look, the Nuggets are definitely good. That's a team that we can't sleep on them.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and big thank you to Zach for coming on today. I know he's got a busy schedule, so he can't always get in. But nah, I really do appreciate him coming in. I appreciate all you guys watching. Hope you guys all made it to the end, and goodbye.